Hi, what's new? Pig, poke in the eye with a sharp stick. I'm going to keep this video relatively brief, but I did listen to this record recently and I really enjoy this, and I do feel like it's generally an underappreciated album in the terms of industrial music. And why do I say that? Because I don't really feel like this is truly an industrial album. Yeah, it's Raymond Watts, one of the original members of KMFDM. I think people's minds immediately think industrial. And yeah, it has tones of that, but that's definitely not primarily what this record is. If you were to ask me what this record is, I think it's more funky than anything. This is a pretty damn funky album. Even down to the fact that he samples Prince on one of the tracks on here. I mean, this is a cool album. It just doesn't really sound like any other industrial album out there. Yeah, I guess it deserves to live in that world, in the industrial world, but it's a lot more than that. And that's why I enjoy this. I remember when I got this at the time, it came out on Wax Trax, so right away your mind thinks industrial. And then I heard it and I was hearing the Prince samples and like the loungy, jazzy aspects of it, and it didn't really sound like that. It sounded like a lot of things at once. And those generally tend to be some of my favorite albums. Albums I really enjoy listening to are albums you can't really pin down, that are hard to define. And I think this is one of them. A poke in the eye with a sharp stick. Again, this is Raymond Watts. He was one of the founders of KMFDM. He didn't last long in that band. And to my knowledge, this was his first album as Pig. In fact, I'm going to look it up. I got the big wacky internet right here in front of me. Yeah, this was his first record, his first album. And quite frankly, I'm looking at his catalog here, and holy shit, he has a lot more albums than I thought. He's got a lot of stuff. And you know what? This is the only Pig album I've ever heard. Sorry, Pig fans. Yeah, I didn't really keep up with his stuff. In fact, I heard "Praise the Lord." Now that I see that, I know I have that in my archive somewhere. But looks like his third album was called Swining. If it was Swinning, there would be two ends. There's one end, so it's the Swining. Never heard of the Swining. Yeah, I just didn't really keep up with them. But this is a cool album. Came out on Wax Trax in 1988. A very fertile time in the history of Wax Trax, and it's just got a very cool track listing. Like I said, you hear industrial rhythms, you also hear jazz, you hear lounge, you hear funk, a lot of funk. In my opinion, you hear more funk than anything on this record, and I think it's all the better for it. It's just a very different sounding record. And if you do enjoy industrial albums and music and you haven't heard this, I highly recommend you check this out. It's a fun album, man. I think it's aged pretty damn well too. When I listened to it over the weekend, I was like, this sounds really good. And I had the single in my mind. The single's called Never for Fun. That's the track that has the Prince sampling in it. And what a fun song. You can definitely see why it was released as a single. And that was the lead off single from the album. And I'll show that. Let me break this out of its cover so it's not glaring so bad. I still have the original shrink on this. Sorry, it's kind of glaring. But came out on Wax Trax. And you know what? This came out prior to the album. And to my knowledge, all three of these songs are on the album. Yeah, Never for Fun, My Favorite Car, and Hildelinde. These are all on the album. And they're all the exact same version. So if you have that album or you want to pick up a poke in the eye, I wouldn't necessarily recommend you pick this up. Three songs that ended up on the record, on the album. Again, this 12-inch came out before the album, so that's why I picked it up. I do remember picking up the album and thinking, oh, that kind of sucks. I've already heard 1/3 of the album because there are 9 songs on it. So 3 songs, already have them. That's all right. There's that. Now this is the real gem of these releases around this time. This is Shit for Brains in Six City. And this came out on Wax Trax in the US. And it has a Fetus remix of Shit for Brains. I think it's Shit for Brains, right? Isn't that where Fetus pops up? Or does he remix Six City? Let me see. Oh no, he does Six City. Okay, sorry. Let's see. Who does the Shit for Brains mix here? Oh no, he does them both. All right, sorry. Fetus, Jim Thurlwell. You guys have asked me for a Fetus video. You'll never see it. I'm not a huge Fetus fan. I appreciate him more than I like him. We all have those artists, right? I do like some of his stuff, but I don't know enough about him where I would be comfortable doing a video on him. I like to have some kind of working knowledge of the groups and artists that I talk about. I just feel like it's more fair to the artists for me to have a working knowledge of what they do without sitting there like an asshole and reading Wikipedia. I've already gone into this in the past. This channel isn't about sitting here reading off screens and Wikipedia, and it's about me telling you my experiences with music off the top of my head without reading things, and I just don't know enough about Fetus, so sorry. But I do know Raymond Watts in this record pretty well, and this single is cool. This is the German version, and you want this version. Why? Because it has this Peoria 9161. That is a song I think you can find on the CD of A Poke in the Eye. I remember seeing a Wax Trax CD where Peoria was on there. It is not on the vinyl though. To my knowledge, this is the only place you can get that track on Wax. This German 12-inch. Wax Trax didn't put it on their 12-inch. I think probably because they thought, well, we're going to put it on the CD. Again, in American markets, especially back then in the late 80s, early 90s, record companies were really trying to push people into buying CDs. They were punishing vinyl buyers. They were putting more stuff on CDs. And in Germany, the Germans were good enough to not do that. The Germans put Peoria on the 12-inch. And I'm forever thankful that they did, because this is arguably the best song out of the entire album. Why it wasn't on the album, I don't know, but it is a fantastic song. Talk about different. His voice is distorted. It's not really music at all. It's got some noises, but he's just kind of growling in the background. It's a story. He's telling a story, but it's a really captivating track. In my opinion, it definitely should have been on the album. It's got a completely different feel, though, than any other song on the album, so I guess I can kind of understand why they didn't put it on there. But man, what a song. Really cool. I still have the original postcard. I bought this brand spanking new. Look at that. Look at that logo. I always thought that would be killer to have on a shirt. Send away for a t-shirt. Speaking of shirts. Let's see. Hamburg. There you go. Do I have any German viewers who bought this and had this and bought a shirt? Let me know if you're out there. And this 12-inch also comes with a printed inner sleeve. Look at that, with lyrics and credits. It's a really well done 12-inch, man. You don't see this often at all, ever. 12 inches usually just have a generic inner sleeve, and they leave it at that. But yeah, they did a really nice job with this. This is a 12-inch I am absolutely proud to own. There's the Peoria side. Very cool image. Just in red this time, and then you flip it over and you get the Fetus mixes. Good old Fetus. Yeah, I don't mean to sound like I don't enjoy Fetus. I just don't. I haven't spent a lot of time diving into his sound. It's not something that I deeply appreciate. I have heard some remixes and things that he's done over the years that I very much like, but not generally a big Fetus fan. But his mixes here are cool. Yeah, his stuff is just really abrasive and noisy and fun. I like that part about it. In my opinion, his stuff tends to be a little pedestrian, a little generic for my tastes. I'm going to get a Fetus fan that just hates me for saying that, but I do think he's a bit generic in some ways. And I don't think he ever tested himself too much over the years. His stuff all sounds kind of samey to me. It's just an opinion. It's just an opinion, okay? And that's what I do on this channel. I give my opinions. Did I show the label on this? I don't think I did. I'll do that. Why not? Never for fun. This is the US press on Wax Trax. 3 songs that you end up getting on the album. Ah, well, what are you going to do? Did I show the label of the album? Yes, I did. Pretty sure I did. But this is all leading back to this, a poke in the eye with a sharp stick. If you enjoy KMFDM, you've obviously heard this, I'm sure. But if you want to hear an album that it's not really industrial, but it has tinges of it, but you also hear a lot of funk and jazz and just general weirdness, check this out. This is a different album. It's an oddity. Let me put it that way. And I think it goes it's underappreciated. It's overlooked. And yeah, I try to dedicate time to overlooked albums on my channel. I think Pig, A Poke in the Eye with a Sharp Stick is definitely one of those albums. Raymond Watts, KMFDM. Check out this record. But I strongly urge you to get this German, or just get the CD or whatever. Maybe you can download it. Maybe it's streaming somewhere. But Peoria, seek this track out, man. It's a fun song. And look at this. I mean, come on. Look at this artwork. Look at this. That's some cool shit, man. Look at this. Shit for brains in big letters down here. That's an album cover. And you get the inner sleeve with it. This is a fun 12-inch, man. 3 quality tracks, especially here on the B side. That's my Pig video. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll talk to you next time. Bye.